Welcome to Going Off Subject, a Jones College radio and TV production in association with Free State Records. I am Ollie Hammond, your host. Of course, in studio today with me is the great producer, Matt McGuffey, and our very special guest is Jones College football coach, Coach Kwesi Drake. Coach, thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure. I appreciate you guys inviting me and offering me the opportunity.
Hey, we love it. First question, I always ask everybody this, so we want to get to know you more. Mm-hmm. So give us your background. Where'd you grow up? What was your childhood like, and what sports did you play growing up?
Okay, I'm originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. Well, a subdivision of New Orleans called Marrero, Louisiana.
All right.
And I went to Destrehan High School. A little side tidbit: I played high school football with Hall of Famer Ed Reed. He was he was everything. He played quarterback, free safety, cornerback, punter, kicker. He was a plug and play type of guy. I played football at Auburn. After Auburn, I went into law enforcement. I did 16 years at the Lee County Sheriff's Office. I was an investigator. I was in charge of 10 investigators and 2 evidence technicians. And in that line of work, I have pretty much done everything in law enforcement. I've done protection details for the governor. I've done undercover work, homicides, rapes, burglaries, robberies. You name it. Work CIs, done drug trafficking, human trafficking, dog fighting. You name it. I've kind of touched a little bit in every area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So
you weren't ready for that, were you?
Football coaches, you expect. I played high school football. I became a graduate. So you went into law enforcement.
I did.
Out of Auburn.
Yes.
So I'm guessing you majored in criminal justice.
I majored in psychology. You know what, man? I never really thought about law enforcement. I'll just tell you how it kind of happened. They had a special career fair for student athletes. So it was nothing but student athletes at this career fair. And they had a Secret Service booth. And, I'm on the team, so I was in much better shape then than I am now. But looking good, I was wearing a suit. And I'm just walking around, meeting certain people, meeting certain businesses and recruiters. And nobody was at the Secret Service booth.
Yeah.
And then I walked by, and one of the agents, she was like, "Hey, come talk to me for a second." I'm like, I'm looking. You talking to me? Yeah, come over here. He said, "Have you ever thought about law enforcement?" I said, "No, sir." And then, of course, he just, it's like he brainwashed me and just sold me the dream. He's
got a live one.
Yeah, hey, I see you're in shape. You're a big guy. You get to do this. You get to do that. And have you ever thought about the Secret Service? And this is the cool things we do and blah, blah, blah. And, people just think they just protect the president. Well, they also investigate counterfeit monies. They do a lot of human sexual trafficking things. They do multiple things in just protection details. And so when he told me that, it was like, I never thought about that, and that sounds really interesting. I'm like, well, what steps would I need to take? And he was like, well, the first step is, probably getting to your local law enforcement, and, we exchange cards, and he's like, I can start walking you through the process, because it's like a 3-year-long process. It's not like, oh, you apply, and now you're a Secret Service agent. So I did that, and I kind of fell in love with law enforcement. But, during that entire time, I've always had people tugging at me about coaching, but I wanted to be different. I kind of like to go my own lane and create my own path. My dad was a school teacher and a principal, and of course he coached football, women's volleyball, women's basketball, women's softball. My brother's a coach. He coaches for the USFL, the Houston team, but he's coached at Kansas. He's coached at Colorado. He's coached at Tulane. He's coached at Memphis. So my grandfather's in the high school coaching Hall of Fame in Louisiana. He's won multiple state championships. So everybody in my family has been in coaching or education.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something a little different. So that's how I got into law enforcement.
So have you ever watched the NFL Films Icon documentary? I think it's on Amazon Prime.
I don't think I have.
But there's one on the first one's on Brett Favre. Mm-hmm. And Brett Favre always talks about how his dad was a coach. And how when he said, my dad was so tough on me that whenever I went anywhere, I was like, well, at least I got to eat dinner with him. Yeah. You had that scenario. You had to eat dinner with a coach, and when you came to Thanksgiving, you had coaches all surrounded.
Yeah.
How did that help you? Did that help? Do you think it helped you more? Do you think it kind of drove you away from football? Or do you think it brought you closer to the game at that time?
Yeah. Well, because I was a player, I was always into talking about sports and talking about the game and finding out the cheat codes. Okay, maybe I can do this a little bit better, and understanding the coach's mindset, because the coach's mindset is very, very different from a player's mindset. Like I talk to my players all the time, especially when they go the wrong way on a certain play. I'm like, look, you only have to know what you have to do. I have to know what everybody has to do. But as a player, you really don't grasp that. It's like my brain is overflowing with plays. I got all, so it's just a different aspect. It didn't drive me away, and it really didn't pull me closer. I've always been, I don't know if black sheep is the right word, because everybody, my family loves me, and I love my family.
You travel a different road.
I just like to do things a little different. Yeah. If everybody's going to eat vanilla, I don't even want chocolate. I want pistachio almond. You know what I mean? I want to go I want to go way different. Yeah. And that's just kind of my thing. It's kind of what the Lord has blessed me with.
Well, that's awesome. So back to the law enforcement thing, which I'm still trying to grasp. So how did you get? So you talked to Secret Service guy. How did you get started? How did the road begin to that?
So the first thing, of course, you have to apply. And so the guy I had met, he was out of Tennessee, so he wasn't local. But we stayed in contact, and he was saying, okay, so when you apply, and this is back in 2002 and all that, when you still could turn in a paper application. Everything wasn't online. Yeah. But, that was the option. He said, look, I'm just telling you, this the best thing to do is you fill out the application, but you bring it in. And when you bring it in, you ask to speak to the agent that's in charge. Okay. Just so you can hand it in, introduce yourself. That goes a long way. So that's what I did. And, of course, you have to meet certain requirements in the application process. And then there's a test. And it's so crazy. It's the Secret Service. So you'll get a phone call out the blue from an unrestricted number, and you kind of have to answer. And they're like, is this Mr. Drake's social security number, blah, 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 blah? Like, yes, sir. Well, this is agent such and such. You have up until 2 o'clock to report here to take a drug test. If you don't make it in time, you're out of the program. And it's like, oh, yes, sir, yes, sir. And you go to the place, they already know who you are. It's kind of a little weird. They already know who you are. They're waiting on you. You go in there, take the drug test, and you're out. And it's the federal government, so it's a very slow moving process. And while you're going through it, you're like, well, I don't know if I passed, if I failed, and then you'll get a piece of time sensitive letter, or you'll get a phone call, and it's also time sensitive. And if you don't get those things done to get it turned in, and you have to get it priority mail or FedEx, so you can sign, they can sign, and if they don't have certain things, you're just done. And that process took 3 years. Oh, so it took 3 years to get to that point, and then a recession hit. When the recession hit, there was a hiring freeze. So I was close to being hired, but once the hiring freeze happened, the government stopped. So I was talking to my recruiter, and this was like a year and a half before they even opened it back up. And I'm like, hey, what do I need to do? I didn't pass everything. I'm kind of just, he said, you're going to have to start all over. I said, excuse me? Well, I guess technically it's 4.5 years, 5 years, because I'm not starting all over again.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And I try to look back and look at signs that are given to us, because I'm a faith-based person, and I believe he sends us signs all the time, but we have to, it's all about free will and self-choice, or we're able to see those signs. And so instances like that would continue to happen throughout my law enforcement career, but at the same time, I had people tugging at me, wanting to help out and coach. Yeah. And so I had to just go in deep prayer and deep thought. I'm like, because the human being in me, the flesh in me, wants to do what Kwesi Drake wants to do. But I need to do what he wants me to do. I need to live out my purpose and do his will. So once I gave up who I was, spiritually, and decided to listen to him and follow his direction, football was there, and football became easy in a sense. I've been very, very fortunate, to have my first college job. I was coaching high school ball, and I started off there. In 3 years of high school ball, I may have lost 3 games. I was fortunate to win a state championship.
Wow.
To be honest with you, full transparency, I never heard of Jones before, but some people I knew connected to Coach Buck, and I got connected, and to come to a place that has the tradition of winning.
Yes.
So that, to me, those are also signs that I have you where I want you. I have you where I need you to do our purpose.
Yeah.
So that's a joyful feeling that not only am I here doing something that I love to do, but the other aspect of the mentoring and equipping young people and just loving on them and them loving me, like that's the joy to me. The X's and O's is cool. Yeah, we're going to fit it up. We're going to stab and grab. That's what, I'm a D-line coach, so we're going to come out our hips, but just the personal connections. And the people here at Jones have been amazing to me. Dr. Jones, Dr. Smith, Joel. I mean, the list goes on and on. They have the utmost respect for those people.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, I know this is a sports podcast.
Yes.
I know we talk about sports, but I just can't get over this law enforcement thing. Because there's a lot of lessons I think you can take, because law enforcement is all about you're a leader.
Yes.
You are a leader in society that you can bring into a football locker room as a coach.
Yes.
So did you make it through the Secret Service program? Did you go find a local law enforcement job? What happened there?
So while I was in the process with the Secret Service, I was still working at the Lee County Sheriff's Office. So I was doing investigative work and all that. So while I was doing that, I still was pursuing the Secret Service. So once that didn't happen, I just continued to work locally at the Sheriff's Office as an investigator.
Okay, so let's talk about those things you can take from. I mean, how have you been able to process that law enforcement mindset and then turn it into a leader of young men in football? Like, what can you see that you took from law enforcement that actually helped you? Because we always talk about God's plan.
Yes.
It's perfect.
Yes.
And how have you seen that it is perfectly translated into football, those lessons you learned in law enforcement?
Yes. So being able to multitask. So as an investigator, something's always going on.
Yeah.
Like somebody done got shot, somebody's gotten stabbed, somebody done broken into somebody. Like it's a continuous thing. So also being able to be calm in the storm. And I think that's one thing the Lord has blessed me with and has given me that ability and that training through law enforcement, because if I'm hysterical, if I'm freaking out, then what's everybody else going to do? So even if we're in a tough game and I'm having to instruct my players, they have to see me being calm. They have to, because if I'm freaking out, they're going to freak out.
Yeah.
So law enforcement has taught me that. It also has taught me the ability to communicate with people, because you come across different backgrounds, different cultures of people, and also law enforcement, it allows you to see people at their worst, or it allows you to see them being very vulnerable. So I want to make sure that if something has happened bad to you, that I can look at life through your lens and I can have empathy for you and help you through this grieving process. Or if you're the cause of that tragedy, still treat you, because you're still a human, still treat you with dignity. There's some consequences that are going to have to come.
Yeah.
But just the level of detail. So if we go to a crime scene, having to instruct certain people, okay, I need you to take photographs, I need you to take statements, I need you to collect the evidence, and there's a lot of different things. So like I said, the multitasking, the communication skills, getting your team to do what you need to do in a timely and precise and concise manner. Those are things that I think are intangible that I can't. That it really has helped me be the coach I am today.
Yeah. What was your dad's reaction whenever you came back to coaching?
About time. And just talking to some of my coworkers and the friends that I met in law enforcement, and I'm like, well, I'm getting ready. No, I didn't know you. What's going on? I'm like, it's time. And well, what are you going to do? I'm going to be a football coach. Yeah, I can see that.
I can see that. So, as a coach, a lot of coaches always are former players. You went to Auburn,
yes.
So you're an SEC player.
Yes.
You have done what a lot of these players here at Jones are attempting to do.
Yes.
So how do you translate that into teaching them how to get there? Because you know what it takes to get there, to get to SEC football.
Yes.
How do you teach them this is how you get there?
So part of it is you have to have some athletic ability. I mean, that's a given.
Yes.
But the mindset is really the thing in being able to, once again, multitask, because you have study hall, you have classes, you have meetings. And the meetings that you have at the SEC in Division I, they last a little longer. They're a little bit more detailed. Everything is up a notch. So just the ability to be where you're supposed to be on time, be respectable, and handle your business accordingly. So, of course, the technique and the athletic ability, that will come. And being honest is also like, okay, the SEC may not be the level of football for you. There are levels of football for everyone. But the SEC may not be that for you. It may not be in your cards.
Yeah.
So what can we do, and how do we look at getting you to what fits you best? Mm-hmm. But once again, it's all about the mindset. It's all about having a never give up attitude. I know you see this goblin band on my wrist. So goblin is something I came up with when I very first started coaching, because I wanted to give kids and people something tangible that they can feel and see, but also remind them how to master their moment. Like, that's big with me. That's what I talk about with my kids is mastering the moment. We are blessed with many, many moments a day, but we don't look at it that way.
Yeah.
But if you break it down, a moment is just a small, brief period in time.
Yeah.
That can last 1 second or 10 hours. It's a brief period of time. So what can I give my young men, and for me too, because I'm human, what can I give myself to help me master that moment? So if you play D-line here at Jones, we're going to have a conversation about what Goblin means, what it stands for, and how to represent Goblin well. I'll just go over really, really brief. G, I want to be great at every single thing I do. Not mediocre, not okay, not just I'm going to do enough so coach doesn't say anything to me. I'm going to do enough so the teacher doesn't get on me. I want to be great. I want to excel at it. I want to be a great father, a great husband, a great friend, a great brother. I want to be great at every single thing I do. So helping kids understand that, because that's kind of the culture in 2023. I'm just going to do enough so somebody doesn't say anything to me.
Yeah.
No, we want to be great at it. The other part of G, so it kind of has dual meanings. G, I want to give myself wholeheartedly to things and to people, because I'm still trying to master my moment. So Ollie, you and I having this conversation here, I want to give myself wholeheartedly to you. I want you, when we leave here, I want you to feel like I opened up to you and we were one, so to speak, if that makes sense to you. So give yourself wholeheartedly to things without the expectation of receiving nothing in return. That's the mindset, because if we do that, you'll be blessed 10 times fold without even knowing it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I want to be obedient. People miss that sometimes.
That's a good one.
Yeah. I want to be obedient to my wife. I want to be obedient to the word. I want to be obedient to my children. Sometimes people think, because I'm over you, so to speak, that I can't be obedient to you. Mm-hmm. And I want to be an obedient football coach. I want to be obedient to people. I want people to feel a connection with me. The other part of I want to have the ability to put others first. We're human. We're selfish at times. It's just part of the way we're made. But if we can remove ourselves from certain moments and really look at other people's lives in their eyes, and what can we do to help them, and be able to remove ourselves and put others first, man, it's life-changing to me. Mm-hmm. B, of course, football-wise, we got to have a brotherhood, and we got to be a brotherhood. But the other part of B is I want to be a blessing. I want to be a blessing to people. We are blessed to play a game that many people can't play. I want to be a blessing. I have this conversation with my players. Like, I don't want to be the guy that people see me coming from a distance and they have a negative thought. Like, oh, here come Coach Drake. Yeah. Or here come Ollie.
Yeah.
No, I want your interaction to be with, even if it's just a small brief, because what I want to do, I want to what?
You got to lead me through.
I want to master my moment.
Master the moment.
So even the small passing somebody in the hallway, or passing somebody as we're walking on the lawn, I try to make eye contact and say, hey, how you doing? Just that brief moment. Because I want to be a blessing to people. I want every interaction somebody has with me be a positive one, no matter whom it's with.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? L, leadership. We already talked about leadership. The thing about leadership is you have to know when to lead and when to follow. And also, I think sometimes this world is inundated with inadequate leaders. The thing about leadership that many people miss is leadership is service. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm leading you, but how can I service you? How can I help you be the best version of yourself every single day? Once again, what we're trying to do?
Trying to master the moment.
Come on, Ollie. Now you with me, baby. We're trying to master our moment. So leadership is very important. But the other part of L, which I think if the world would grasp, it would change. And that's love. We got to love people. We have to love people for who they are. And sometimes, depending on the situation, we still have to love people from a distance. Because everybody's not going to get along. But the love part comes, like, let's say you and I have a disagreement. Let's have some conversations. I want to understand where you're coming from. I want to listen to you. I want to learn from you.
Well, that's rare.
Yeah, exactly. Because we're talking about love.
Yeah.
But even if we can't come to a common ground, where I think people make the mistake is now, because I feel some type of way, now I wish ill will on you. We can't do that. We can't, even though I may disagree with you, I still want you to prosper. And I still, and this is what the Lord has laid on my heart. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to pray that he opens my heart and my mind. And I pray that he opens your heart and your mind. Because love will change the world if we all just grasp that concept, you know?
Wow. That's awesome, man.
I'm going to finish right quick. I'm going to read real quick. Integrity. You got to have integrity, doing the right thing, even if somebody knows or doesn't know that you did it, doing the right thing. My favorite letter, I want to inspire. I want to inspire greatness. I want to inspire you to give yourself wholehearted, to be obedient, to be able to put others first, to have that brotherhood, to be a blessing, to love, to have leadership. I want to inspire that. And it's funny that what's the motto of Jones?
Inspiring greatness.
Inspiring greatness. Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Last letter, N, never give up. No matter what's going on in your life. So we also have this saying in the D-line room, whatever it takes for however long it takes. See, people are willing to do whatever it takes, but sometimes they don't want to do it for a very long time. So whatever it takes for however long it takes, and have that never give up attitude.
That's awesome, man. So let's get back to your origins of coaching. Mm-hmm. So you begin coaching. I'm going to go coach. Where'd you coach first? What did you coach first?
So I've always been a defensive line coach, and my first coaching job was semi-pro.
Really?
Yes. And once again, I'm working at the sheriff's office. They're starting the semi-professional league, locally.
Yeah.
One of the deputies, big guy, ended up playing he played at East Carolina. He's coming in my office, man, we're going to play. I said, man, I'm not playing football. You can. I'm not. And he's like, well, just come help and coach. Come help and coach. Come help and coach. And so finally, I just gave in. And when I went out there, even though I was coaching people that were technically done playing high school ball, we had some guys out there that played at Auburn that were done playing. We had some. Most of them did play collegiately, which was great. So I was coaching men. So how do I coach men and not children? And that was a great lesson, and just the connection. It still all goes back on love and respect. If you love and respect your players, no matter what their age is, things will work out well. And once they know that you care about them and you genuinely love them, and you know how to coach them. So, and I'm sorry, Ali, I go off from time to time. So one of my coaching things that I really have been fortunate to understand. So, and this goes back to leadership too. When I coach a young man, so let me sidestep. You've heard the golden rule, right?
Yeah.
Treat people like you want to be treated.
Yep.
That's wrong in a sense. Like the big goal of it is right. Hey, treat people right. That's the main goal of it. Mm-hmm. But the saying treat people how you want to be treated is slightly wrong. Do you understand why?
You have to walk me through it.
You want to treat people how they want to be treated. Because the way I want to be treated may be totally different from the way you want to be treated. Mm. So in leading and in coaching and inspiring people, I have to make sure I'm talking to you in the language that you can receive, that I'm teaching you and I'm leading you in the manner in which you want. Because it may be different from player A to B. And when I get to player B, I need to treat him and coach him how he wants to be coached and treated. And that way, and I think good leaders are able to do that. You can't just, what's the saying, stick a square peg in a round hole. Yeah. You can't do that. You have to customize it to each individual. And a lot of because you have a team, a group of people will like to be coached the same way. This group of people will like to be coached the same way. But we have to be able to teach them and reach them in the language that they can receive the message, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Wow. So the next question is, all right, you're from Louisiana. Mm-hmm. You go into the Secret Service. You attempt it.
I tried.
Then you go into coaching. How did you end up here?
So, Coach Buckley, his good friend is Skylar McGee. Okay. Skylar McGee is from Mississippi. Yeah. So while I was still coaching high school, when I coached high school ball, I still was an investigator. So I was averaging 3 hours of sleep a night. It was it was a tough time. But during the summer, I would go and work camps. I would volunteer and just work camps. Of course, I had a connection at Auburn. I worked those camps. I had a connection at Georgia State with a friend of mine. Mm. So when I was at Georgia State, Skylar McGee was the defensive line coach there. Him and I formed a relationship. So I did that for like 2 years. Just, I'd stay in contact with him, talk to him, go up there, work the camp. So when Coach Buckley contacted him, said, "Hey, I'm looking for a D-line coach. Do you have anybody in mind?" He spoke my name. He said, "This guy's a little different. He doesn't have the resume that a lot of people would, but he'll do an awesome job, I guarantee you." And that was that. And
wow.
After I got hired, I asked Coach Buckley, I'm like, "You wasn't nervous about," because, people think, oh, you haven't coached.
They expect all these years in coaching, and that's been your life and forever. And
yes. And how do I get experience if somebody doesn't give me the opportunity? And I like to say, just because I haven't doesn't mean I can't.
Yeah.
So he said, "Coach, I trust Skylar. When Skylar spoke your name, he spoke highly of you. That's all I needed." So that was a blessing.
Wow.
That was a blessing in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he called me up, told me a little bit about Jones. And like I said, I'm being transparent, never heard of Jones, because in Louisiana, the few JUCOs we have is baseball, is basketball, same thing in Alabama, not football. And I didn't realize the pedigree of the Mississippi JUCO League. Mm. So once again, like I said, it's a blessing that he aligned me with Jones and have the winning and the tradition here, because I could have been somewhere else and I could be losing every game. That's real. So my wife and I came down, toured the campus, and once again, not knowing much about junior colleges, I'm thinking small building, one building, that's everything. Mm. And I'm like, this is a college. It's small.
It's a real college.
But it's a college campus with multiple buildings, and you have to walk from one place to the next. And went to deep prayer, went and consoled my wife and counseled with people I trust and family members and advisors. And I went to deep prayer, and to me, this was the answer. This was the answer that I was supposed to be doing. This is my purpose right now. Yeah.
So you came here in 18, right?
Yes.
2018.
Yes.
That was a stellar year for defense, and ever since then, that's kind of been Jones's calling card, is that we're going to have a tight defense. How did you settling down in life, so to speak? Having a one job, I'm guessing, one job where this is your life. Jones, defensive line, football is your life. How did that kind of settle you down into your career to become the great coach that you are now? I'm going to go ahead and say it. You're a great coach here.
I appreciate it.
So how did that kind of help you become a better coach, settling down a little bit?
Well, I'm still not settled. Huh. So I live here. I have a spot on campus, but my family still lives in Alabama.
Okay.
So I travel back and forth on the weekends.
Really?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not settled. I'm settled, but I'm not settled.
Wow.
Yes. And my family lives in Auburn, Alabama, which is about a 4.5 hour drive. So it's not like it's around the corner.
Yeah.
So, but whatever it takes for however long it takes. That's my motto. So I'm not gonna not go home. So if I have to, early in the year, we are recruiting some kids at West Jones, which is in our district. So we went to a football game. The football game is at night. So after the game, I still drove to Alabama because I want to see my family. I want to be around my kids. I have, 2 young boys, 1 7 and 1 5. So any second with them, I'm going to seize that opportunity. Yes, so I'm settled, but I'm not settled. But I'm comfortable my mind and my heart is at ease because I know this is my purpose at this moment. Because I still want to master my moment,
Yes, sir.
and I want to be rooted where I'm planted. If that makes sense.
That definitely makes sense. Coach, I don't know if I've got anything else for you. You've given it all to me. One last question I always ask our guests. This is my last question. How has Jones impacted your life and career? So,
speaking to the administration and the doctors that I've told you, Dr. Smith, Dr. Jones, Joel, and it's opened up my eyes to an array of possibilities that I didn't know were available. Meaning that I don't have my master's degree. So just the culture and the love around Jones, it's made me want to seek to further my education. Coaching is part of my process and part of my path right now, but that may not be my end goal. I like to be an open-minded person. So right now, I would love the opportunity to get into grad school and to learn more about higher education and administration, and that's intriguing to me. So Jones has helped shifted my mindset and opened up other possibilities that I didn't even know was there. Wow. If that makes sense. Yeah. I don't know I say that a lot.
No, it does. I mean, that's so cool, man. Mm-hmm. That's so cool. Well, thank you for coming in. I mean, it's been a pleasure having you in studio.
My pleasure.
Well, you've been listening to Going Off Subject, a Jones College radio and TV production in association with Free State Records. Of course, helping cast my bronze voice over your speakers was the great producer, Matt McGuffey. And we'll see you next time.